Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for year 4 of Cuzzo and The Commish. I, as always, am Ryan Cuzzo Elias, coming to you from a new studio in South Philadelphia. Joining me, as always, Brendan, The Commish Ricciardi. What's going on, Commish?
Oh man, how good does it feel to be back on the humid airwaves of Southeastern Pennsylvania? It's been a long off season. We've relocated to hell, in case you can't notice. It's a little hot in here, but we're starting to get acclimated. And how you doing?
Not bad, my friend, not bad. It's been a long off season. I think that everybody's ready to get back into the fantasy swing of things.
Yeah. We'll get things started with a little bit of a recap from last year before we dive in to all of the action we got for this year. Lee, the Big Worm Holbert, capturing his first Clancy Bowl. That was Clancy Bowl 10. We'll give you a little recap here of how it got there. We had Carter Kraus and Jason Marmerstein played in the first round because Jacob Knauer and the Bison City Lake Effect had a bye week. Carter took down Jason. We had Lee, the Big Worm, Holbert take on Chris Durienzi. Holbert took that one. And then that got us to conference championship week. And Cuz, it was a close one, but Bert took you down in that one to advance to the Clancy Bowl. And, of course, we have to talk about Carter and Jacob because Carter won his conference championship because Justin Herbert took a knee.
Yeah, pretty incredible how this one ended up shaking out. I mean, let's not only say it was because he took a knee, just an abysmal fantasy performance for him anyway on the day, which is 5.5 points. But pretty crazy that's the way it shook out for him this past year. Yeah, losing it on a knee, just a couple fractions of a point. That's a really tough way to go out if you're Jacob, especially after having pretty much the best team in the league the past few years and not being able to really capitalize on that really has to sting.
We have a question here from the chat. Yeah, I think so, right? Drew Robinson wants to know if Jason also shits chodes. I mean, it depends how wide his asshole is, I guess.
Can confirm.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. Good question, Drew. On our Clancy Bowl, it was rudely interrupted by Damar Hamlin dying on the field. Like, was he not thinking about all of the fantasy games that were going on here during this Monday night game with the Bills and the Bengals? But we, smartly decided to kind of regroup. We decided to go with a Week 18 matchup, and it worked out for Holbert, and the rest is history.
That's right. I think that we settled it the best way we possibly could have given the circumstances, but really just a shame that we couldn't just have our traditional 1 week matchup here. I know that there have been some funky finals in the past in the history of this league. Going back to that first one, is that not right, Kamesh?
Oh yeah, I mean that still ranks as probably the at least the funniest. Just the whole interaction with the bet and whatnot. I mean, we've had some great moments, and to quote our good friends from the other guys, like it's just full of rich history. Like not many fantasy
That's
leagues
right.
out there hit the decade mark. Like we technically this is our 11th season, but the fact that it's been 10 years since it began is really impressive, and we're just getting started. My head keeps disappearing in hell.
That's right. Just getting started here. Ready for another great 10 years of Strathaven fantasy football, even though this is only my fourth. But
Yeah,
that's right. I think that we can move on, Kamish.
yeah,
Let's talk about that final from last year, huh?
yeah. And I mean, I'm gonna try and pull up the box score here, but I'm honestly not sure what I'll be able to see because it only goes to the week 17. So I'm not really sure, but I can tell you at least what Holbert's team had. I mean, he had Josh Allen, he had Jarek McKinnon come out of nowhere and be like arguably his best player in the playoffs to go with Joe Mixon. He had Mike Williams, Devontae Smith, Gabe Davis, and Mark Andrews to lead him to that Clancy Bowl. And I don't think we got to interview Holbert after the season last year. I just don't think it worked out. But we will have him on here in about 15 or 20 minutes. But yeah, I mean the NFC East. Can we just talk about the NFC East dominance?
Absolutely. It's nothing short of dominance. It's the past 3 years, the NFC East has been the representative for the football conference and the winner of the Clancy Bowl. It's just straight up dominance from top to bottom. It's not just me. It's everybody in our conference here, and I have a feeling that's going to continue this year, Commission. I think it's going to circle back around to the bureau here, and we're we're gonna keep the Clancy Bowl in the NFC East for another year here.
Now, what do you have to say? Because at some point during the year, it feels like every year there's a stretch where the Kosher Kush Conference has a bunch of teams that are playing really well, and the football conference doesn't, and people start to talk about how it's unfair. Yet it always seems to end up with you guys, winning the finals.
Yeah, you can say that it's all fair. You can say that it's unfair all that you want. Fact of the matter is, if you're not winning the games, you really don't have any room to talk. And I think that that's what all of our opponents in the Kosher Kush Conference are dealing with right now. That they're playing well in the regular season, yes, and that's important. You have to make it to the Clancy Bowl playoffs in order to play for the Clancy Bowl. And maybe they tear themselves up a little bit in the regular season. I don't know. I've found that football conference teams have proven to have the resilience and the mental fortitude that you really need in order to advance far in the playoffs and to win a Clancy Bowl. And we've seen that the past couple of years.
Yes, of course. Two-time Clancy Bowl champion Drew Robinson with a nice message here. I kind of missed having meat at the draft this year that wasn't processed by Chicky and Pete. So maybe we'll have to get that going, that tradition back next year. What would your ideal draft meat be that we haven't done yet?
Are you asking me or Drew?
I can go for either of you, but like what would you want to be next?
I don't know. It's tough to you could do like ribs or something, but that's a lot of hassle. It's really nice doing the pork butt and being able to feed everybody with just one item. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Personally,
do like some chicken wings or something.
Yeah, well, that'd be good. I was thinking. I don't know if you guys have done. Yeah, Drew literally took the words out of my mouth. I was thinking brisket at some point.
Yeah, I'm down to try a brisket. I don't want the first brisket that I've ever cooked to be the one that we do for the draft. But if Drew's willing to, take the reins on that, we definitely have to get a practice run in first, Drew.
That'll be at the summer meetings.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into the 2023 season and kind of just talk about, the teams here. We got a fancy function here where we can put up the lineups on the live stream. So let's start off here with the reigning Clancy Bowl champion, Lee Holbert, and the State Penn Jailbird. So anyone listening on the audio, I'll just run through real quick. He's got Justin Fields, Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, T. Higgins, Christian Watson, Kyle Pitts, DeAndre Swift, Shaq Leonard, and Justin Tucker. So I have this lineup pulled up here. I'll give you some of my thoughts here. So I'll start off with the fact that, his running back core looks very strong. Like Austin Eckler finished RB1 last year, and Josh Jacobs finished RB3. And I think part of the reason he was able to get Jacobs so late was because there was some contract issues going on with him. But it's hard to start much better than that at RB.
Absolutely, the very strong running back room here, and we will see how this plays out with DeAndre Swift and the amount of the type of touches that he's going to get with an already pretty full Eagles running back room. But really encouraging if you're Holbert. He likes to keep it on the ground, and that's what he's going to do this year, and he definitely set himself up to be able to do that. Not really slacking in the wide receivers either. T. Higgins is a pretty solid number one option, especially if you were focusing on running backs in the draft. So, and Kyle Pitts, hopefully looking for a bounce back year. I know that kind of screwed you a little bit last year, Commish.
Oh man, he, the reason that I came in last was just a whole, you can't really pin it on the one reason, but injuries were a big part of it. But Kyle Pitts being really bad was another one of them, especially based on how high I took him, and it was just unfortunate. But yeah, no, I think his wide receiver core is among the lower of the league. I think that his wide receiver one, not even being the top target on his own team, is definitely questionable. Christian Watson, I had him last year. He's very talented. He had a lot of big plays, but he kind of relied on some of those long touchdowns, and he's getting a new quarterback. So, it could be a bit interesting to see what way, that goes. But, I think if his running backs perform the way they did last year, as Elias has a large cat that has made its way into the video stream, I have Holbert's team as a playoff team.
Giant, fucking enormous.
Who is that? Yours or roommates or?
Yeah. Yeah. I like this team, Commish. I think that he's getting ready to make another run at the Clancy Bowl this year. Going to be interesting to see how he holds up in our division as always, and our conference as always. It's always very tough to win and to continue winning in the football conference, but looks like he set himself up pretty well to make that happen.
For sure. All right, let's move on to the next squad here. Like I said, my prediction, and we'll go through maybe some predictions once we look at all the rosters. I think this team could make the playoffs, and we'll see how it goes. All right, let's move on, Cuz. We got you right here. You are the reigning NFC East champion. Of course, it didn't result in the Clancy, but another strong team here. Before I give my thoughts, I want you to talk about how you felt you did in this draft and what the Bureau is looking at this year.
Right. Let me just make sure.
For anyone listening on audio, I'll read through it right here. We got Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Rashad White, A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, Mark Andrews, Dalvin Cook, Brian Okereke, and Jake Elliott. So let's hear the thoughts.
Right. I was very content with my draft this year. I thought that I had a pretty good one. Bear with me just 1 second. I got to get to my roster real quick.
Messing around with the camera settings a little, see what we like.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting like 20 notifications at the same time. I thought that I had a pretty good draft. I really wanted to make sure that I had some balance between my receivers and running backs, and I thought that I was able to accomplish that. I'm not really blowing anybody out the water with my running back one or my wide receiver one, but Derrick Henry has proven time and time again that he's a incredibly valuable fantasy running back and capable of delivering superstar numbers at any given time and consistently giving you very good numbers throughout the year. And I'm really excited to see what A.J. Brown can do this year for the Eagles' second year with Jalen Hurts. I just think that his production is just going to go way up. Mike Evans, the old veteran, I'm excited to see what he can do. Last year on his contract, but he's got Baker, and he's definitely going to be the number one option down there in Tampa. So excited to see how that goes. And obviously the Lamar, Mark Andrews combo I'm really high on, and I think that's going to be excellent this year. Lamar finally getting a contract done with the Ravens, so really looking forward to that. Also, Dalvin Cook, I thought was a bit of a steal. I know that the jury's still kind of out on him this year, whether it's going to be worth it or not, but I could see him having a pretty big year for the Jets, especially with Aaron Rodgers being a bit older now. He's not going to be throwing as much as he did in his MVP season.
Sorry, so. Jacob's comments make me laugh. Love the confidence in guessing Okereke's first name. I had no idea what it was. 25% chance of getting it right.
What'd you say?
I said Brian, but see, I said it so confidently.
It's Bobby.
I have no idea who that is.
It's Bobby.
No, you just gotta. I've learned a lot. Just say things just matter of factly, and we'll take your word for it. I think this is a solid team. I think what I've written out. I have what Lamar Jackson will we get. That's kind of the question that I'm wondering because he was A, banged up, and B, trying not to get more banged up last year. Like I think now that he's got his deal, I think he'll be a little more willing to run the ball more, a little more willing to go after contact, and that'll Mark Andrews will obviously only benefit from that. Like I think you got him a little bit later than you could have or a little bit later than you should have just because people were looking at the numbers from last year. So I think they'll kind of be the key to the ignition. One thing I would like to think about is if Mike Evans gets traded at some point because he's going into his contract year with the Bucs, and if he doesn't see a future there, they could move him. So you could potentially, get a better quarterback option later on in the season if you were to get traded. But the one guy that I would say is could really make or break everything is Dalvin Cook because it's starting to look like it could be a little bit more of like a maybe not 50-50 split, but like he's not Breece Hall's backup.
No, he's not. He's not going to be either. I don't expect he's going to be getting the lion's share of the touches the first few weeks, but I could see him really start to solidify himself as the number one running back as the year goes on. But who knows? We'll see. Obviously, I don't want to spend too much more time talking about my team, but
we'll keep moving.
For me, Dalvin Cook definitely, but the Lamar Mark Andrews combo is going to be the key for me. If that works, then I have a pretty good chance at being really good this year. If that doesn't work, then got a pretty big issue. So,
all right, let's move on to two-time champion Drew Robinson and the boys. I actually talked to Drew a little bit about his team earlier in the day, and the main thing that I said was wide receiver duo is elite, right? Tyreek Hill and Chris Olave is a great one too. It's probably among the upper echelon of the league. The thing I'm a little worried about is just the running backs because Jahmyr Gibbs is a rookie, extremely talented rookie that I think will do great. They also gave a lot of money to David Montgomery, so you have to wonder how much rushing work he'll get. He's probably going to catch a lot of passes, so he could absolutely deliver. But we were both talking about like Cam Akers is a huge question mark. He got a little better as the year went on last year, but he was in the doghouse for most of the season.
just laughing at what Drew's saying here. Wait till it turns into a trio.
Hey, I mean, Justin.
I think that you're spot on there, Commish. Definitely elite wide receiver core. Also, I feel like Drew always has Kirk Cousins on his team. Am I wrong about that?
I don't know. I know. I mean, there's some guys that like. It's funny that I just like immediately think of like when I hear like someone's name. It's like, oh,
just about to say
every year, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Like when I see Kirk Cousins, I just think Drew Robinson and vice versa.
Owen Salisbury, Dak Prescott, every single year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that 2 out of 3 teams from this division make it. I'm not sure what they're going to be yet, but I think that the talent is obviously there for this team. I'm showing the bench now. Jahan Dotson. I mean, obviously Penn State bias, but like if Sam Howell is good, then I think Dotson will be too, because I think that he might not quite be like better than McLaurin in terms of targets yet, but he could be. Brian Robinson. I mean, that dude got shot. Like you want him on your team, right? Like he's back looking to get.
Yeah, sure. And not for nothing, he's a damn good football player, that Robinson. You know.
I think that
Alabama, Brendan.
What's up?
Brian Robinson, he went to Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama. Okay. All right, so I think what we do, because we had told Bert around 5:20 to 5:30, so I think we have him on now while we're talking about your division.
Yeah, why don't we get him on?
Yeah, all right. Do that now. Down at Clemson. Oh, rough one for the Clemson boys last night. 28-7 loss to Duke.
Oh man, Duke. Jesus.
Yeah. Not good for God's name, image, and likeness, like Dabo said. Dude, Clemson's they're gonna suck in the college football scheme over the next couple of years if they don't, change their stance on NIL stuff. Because anytime they get someone good, they're just gonna leave.
Yeah. So what's the deal? He doesn't like the NIL. He
calls players selfish for like wanting the NIL, and like he literally said the only NIL here is we're trying to be in like God's name, image, and likeness. It's like, dude, bro, you're gonna get fired. Like,
okay,
end of story. The mugshot background, I love it. There you go. Let's see what other background I have here. No, actually, I kind of like it in hell. I'm trying to get acclimated with the devil. We can talk. We'll take a brief intermission while we wait for Holbert to join to talk about the team name changes. So I'll start with mine. And, the Imperialists, it's like it was too many syllables, I think. And to say it on the show every week, no. But I just thought that, it's not a good omen when you have your first year as a new team name, you come in last. And then when I changed it to Westchester Waffles, Drew started saying or Chris started saying, the soggy waffle jokes and blue waffle jokes are going to be coming in. That was part of it. But also I realized that once I changed that name, I had 2 guys get hurt immediately. So then I decided, like, all right, well, clearly the fantasy gods didn't like that tribute. And then I realized the fantasy gods have been fucking me in the ass for 10 years. So like, no, they don't know. So that's why I decided, all right, well, I'm never going to get them on my side because they're never going to like accept my sins. So the best thing for me to do is not try and win them over, but just try and crush them.
Preparing for this episode today, it was actually on my lunch break today. I was going back through I was actually looking at the 2020 Clancy Bowl final between the Marmonator and I, and just laughing my ass off about how that game shook out. He got A.J. Dillon. Got totally A.J. Dillon.
Bert asked if I sent him the email. Yeah. I did, for the record. I mean, that, I just remember it was snowy, and I think you were I don't think you're with Jason. You're with Chris and Owen, though, right?
I forget who I was with. I was watching the cat. My
Maybe
mom's
Drew.
neighbor's place.
I think some of our guys were with you.
Yeah, I feel like at least one or two of you guys was there. I'm almost positive.
I was not. I remember because I think I FaceTimed you.
Yeah, you did. After that game went final.
I mean, just talk about while we're here, might as well talk about Jason's two fantasy nightmares. So of course he had that one, but then benching Jamar Chase when he scored 55 points in that game was probably my favorite. Just because, and the reason it was my favorite is because he asked me who I should start, and I was just like,
and you said Jamar.
I said start Jamar, and then I don't care between AB and I think it was Deontay Johnson. I forget.
It was, and Deontay Johnson had a good game.
All right, Holbert's giving me another link here to use. Jesus, this one's at Clemson.edu.
Clemson.
It's gotta be weird for him being a college student now and not being a football player too.
Formerly of Bloomsburg University, formerly of Ithaca College.
Yep. All right, just send him a new link here. Let's take off the IRS roster while we're here. And all right, because obviously we have the backgrounds here, but if we ever wanted to, oh wait, here we go. We could check it out like this too. But I kind of like.
Look at that.
All right, let's add the defending Clancy Bowl champion, Lee the Big Worm Holbert, to the stream. Bert, you with us?
I am with us, boys. How are we all doing?
There he is.
Good. How's it going? Oh, there we go. How's it going down south?
It is hot. Clemson losing yesterday was a damper on everybody's spirits. It's going.
So would you consider yourself like a Clemson football fan now?
I have to be for 2 years.
Yeah.
I have to be for 2 years.
But what if they play Wisconsin?
I'd probably root for Wisconsin.
Yeah, and that's fair.
I think, honestly, that while you're at Clemson, if they play Wisconsin, you kind of have to root for Clemson.
Only if it's a playoff game.
It would only be a playoff game, and they could play. Like, it's definitely possible, but
yeah, well, they're also not going to
I'd probably in my heart of hearts.
So
I probably wouldn't go out to the bar for that game.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right, Bert, you're coming off championship number 1. Talk to us about that season last year and how it felt and all that.
Listen, the king does what the king wants. Year 2, we're coming back. We're going back to back up in this bitch. Last year, wow.
You're only.
Whoa!
I don't know if Drew can talk
audio.
I don't know if Drew can talk about girls turning into guys.
Oh.
I don't know if
that's a pretty good rebuttal.
If Drew can really talk about that, but last year playoffs hit hot. I hit a really good stretch down in the last weeks. I mean, I finished I think 9-4, so it wasn't like I had a superb team by any means. Kelsey definitely helped. Honestly, I'm trying to remember my team from last year. It's very different, but yeah, I had a good team that got hot, and this year I tried to do the same. I drafted a lot of guys that I thought were more undervalued than most. I got Zay Flowers, which I'm gonna use, I think, very early. I think he might be the steal of the draft. Honestly, I think Baltimore is gonna use him a ton. He's gonna be the wide receiver 2, and I really like Zay Flowers. That's my guy.
Still learning how to use this new streaming app, I think. But no, I think he had a good draft, man. Definitely, I was so bummed out in that playoff game last year. Like, Like, I think that you won by like 8 points or something, or 12 points or something like that, but it really wasn't that
So it
close.
was he won by 12.
Okay, but you were up like 30 points at one point, like after like 5 o'clock on that Sunday, and you know
it was gonna be tough to get back.
yeah,
But
especially
hold on.
like I already had my big guns play too. I think. What's up, Brendan?
Holbert did not start a second wide receiver in that game.
Or did you take him out, Holbert?
Oh, I might have. It was
Whoever it was, I think they were playing on like Monday or Sunday night.
yeah.
Football.
Yeah, you might have taken him out.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get like negative yards or something. It was somebody dumb. I forget who it was, but
Yeah,
I had a good week.
6 fumbles and and we got ourselves a game. You know.
Yeah.
All right, Bert, what do you have to say about the dominance of the NFC East with all 3 titles since the realignment?
The Eats is by far the best conference in this league. That just needs to be said. I think that we all this year have very strong teams. I was looking through it, and I'm high on myself, of course. Listen, we're gonna go back to back, but if it's not me, then I very much think that the Eats is gonna be right up there again this year, barring injury. But the Eats is a dominant conference with a lot of franchises that have rich history now, including myself and Elias.
Yeah, that's right. You know, just a few short years, and we've been able to really ingrain ourselves in the very fabric of this storied league. And you know, there's something to be said about that. It's comes from when you play, you know, the best of the competition in the entire league twice a year, every year. Your teams just have that much more of an edge to them. They have that competitive advantage and that playoff experience and pedigree that allows them to go out every year and compete and succeed the way that we do it. There's really something to be said about that.
I don't think there's a division that has as much mutual respect between opponents than you guys. Like, I genuinely think when one of you guys is out, you root for the other 2 to win.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, once Holbert beat me, of course I was rooting for him because I had to have the Eats go back to back to back. You know?
But like
I was fucking bummed out, pissed off, but you have to go for the Eats at that point.
Yeah. All right, Bert. Looking around at the rest of the league, you know, at this point in the episode, we've only just done like the previews for like your division. So, are there any teams that you've looked at that you think are pretty strong?
Let me pull up the names just to make sure. I think that Jacob has a decent team again this year. Of course, with trading for Allen, but I think Piron's a good running back too. Pollard's going to get a ton. Waller's sneaky as a tight end, I think, for the Giants. And Christian Kirk for the Jags this year is, I think, going to be very, very good. I was very much hoping to get him later than what he got him at, but yeah, I'm kind of high on Kirk this year for the Jaguars. I might be if he doesn't do well in the first couple of weeks, because now you got like Calvin Ridley there coming in with the Jags, and that whole offense together with Etienne. I think the Jags are going to be a very good just overall fantasy team for offense.
I think they win that division no problem as well. Jaguars.
They should.
They should absolutely, but
should.
just in a fantasy like perspective, I think that they can dole out the ball to a ton of different guys, and I'm kind of very high on that offense in general.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
So I'd say him for sure is, but Jacob in the playoffs, like Jacob always has like a decent team, and then it kind of falls off, right? Am I right? Am I right to say that?
Well, that's just how the Coast to Coast Conference operates. You know,
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can't say that that's me because I don't make the playoffs, so you guys can't pin that on me. that's y'all losing in the conference finals. I'm trying to go for Ridley Bowl number 5 this year. Get a ring for every finger.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, this last year, I had a combination of bad injuries and Kyle Pitts just being terrible. So
I got Kyle Pitts this year.
you got him
I
late
believe.
enough that it was like, if he sucks, then it's like, eh. I took him the third round, which really hurt me.
Well, what screwed me is that I was gonna draft Kelsey 5th. I had 6th pick. I was gonna draft him 5th, 100%, and whoever was 5th ahead of me drafted Kelsey. So, fuck whoever that was. I think it was Dover.
That is now Columbus.
That is now Columbus.
Yeah, Columbus.
Well, he's in pilot training, right?
Although he said that he's the only person under the Mason-Dixon. I don't think he knew you went to Clemson when he said that.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know what to think of Kyle Pitts this year. More like in the Falcons in general, because I think Bijan's going to get a ton of like just targets, snaps, everything to open that offense up. But Kyle Pitts should be there, right? Or did Hellman take him at 4? Shit, maybe I was wrong. I thought he was up at 5. Shit.
He's also
Whatever.
below the Get fucked, Hellman.
I don't think the DC really counts as below the Mason-Dixon line.
I feel like it was Virginia, wasn't it?
Yeah, but Maryland's also below it technically. So
yeah,
DC would be.
Bert, do you have Clancy in Carolina with you?
No. Clancy stayed in Pennsylvania.
Didn't want to risk it.
I didn't want to risk it for the biscuit, and didn't have much room in it. I did not want to break it.
Also, didn't feel like dealing with it.
No, it was a great key holder. I could just toss it right in as I was leaving. Grab my keys. I knew exactly where it was. Now I gotta just throw it anywhere. But I didn't want to drunkenly stumble and knock it over. And all good. Yeah.
So I remember last year you came to pick up the trophy. Was that was the day you won, right?
It might have been.
I think it was.
I left. I had to. What was it? It might have been. No. I left. I grabbed it right before you went back up to school, I thought.
Yeah.
Was it?
I think. Yeah. Well. Remember, we had the second week of the games.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I remember. I'm pretty sure that I don't know what happened, but there was like some point during the game where I texted you, I'm like, hey, like this shit's over. Like I'm going to school tomorrow. You should pick it up now.
Yes.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever drink out of it?
I did not. Listen, we're going for 2-peats. If the 2-peat happens, if it stays in the conference for a 4th year, then maybe we talk about it. But I did not get around to celebrating with Clancy yet.
That's fair enough. All right. Anything else you'd like to add here for the good of the program?
The good of the program. Listen, guys, you can all try to beat me again. You can all try to go 9-4.
You went 8-6, by the way.
Oh, I went 8-6.
Yeah, you didn't win the division.
Listen. All you guys want to make the playoffs. Be number 1. You just have to make the playoffs, and then we'll just make it work. We'll make it work week by week. We'll win eventually. I think I have a bunch of good guys slated for the back half of the year. Like I think Jaylen Warren is going to be a very good pick long term for the Steelers. He's probably going to be a flex. Swift is going to be healthy all year, hopefully, because they have 4 running backs now. I think Christian Watson's going to go up. I think the Packers are a very sleeper this year. I like my team's outlook for the full year this year way more than I did last year. I think I was more top heavy, and I'm very much more balanced this year. So Plus Zay Flowers. I'm huge on Zay Flowers. So, sayonara, suckers. May the best men win, and go Birds.
Yo,
Go
Birds,
Birds.
we'll
Go
see you back
Birds.
on soon enough.
All right, my
Fair,
friend.
fair enough. Cheers.
All right, thanks to the Big Worm for hopping on the program today. It's nice to get him his Clancy Bowl championships speech and an interview, which we didn't get to do after. But we got a timetable here, so we should get right back into our rosters, right?
That's right. That's
All right,
right. Let's do it.
let's stay in the football conference. We will go to the defending champion of the Love Letters division. That is Christy Rienzi and the North Philly Neanderthals. Cuz, let's hear your opinions.
Yeah, I like this team. Chua, he's probably going to be pretty good again this year. Ramondre, I'm a little off on as your RB1. However, that could definitely work out for him this year. Mac Jones is not good. So they're definitely going to be using him quite a bit, but you never know with the Bill Belichick coach team. I like Miles Sanders in there, though. I think that he's going to compound on last year, have another really good year for him. Receiving core is pretty good. CeeDee Lamb and Devontae Smith. Smith is still competing for targets with A.J. Brown, so there's that. But he's still going to get his this year. Dallas got it. I love it. Tight end. Michael Thomas, the slant god. That's a nice third wide receiver flex option for you. This is a pretty good team.
Yeah, I think this is the best team in the division. I think they have a very good chance to go back-to-back. Yeah, I think a big thing that will determine the success of Chris's team is what will Zeke Elliott's impact be in New England, because if he is pretty much just like a short yardage back or like limited situation, Ramondre will be fine. But Bill Belichick's an asshole, and for all we know, Zeke could just take over as the first and second down back, and then Ramondre could get relegated to just like third down, like reception stuff. I don't think that'll happen, but it's Belichick. What we've learned over the last 20 years is that he doesn't give a fuck who you are, that he's going to play whoever he feels like. But I do like the Miles Sanders pick. I think he was being very undervalued. If you look, Carolina's not really a by committee team. McCaffrey would get all the carries there. So I think if Miles stays healthy, he could potentially have his best fantasy season ever. I think this is a good overall team, and I would also not be surprised. I'm going to pull up his bench here. I would not be surprised in the slightest if Aaron Rodgers eventually ends up starting for him.
Who's he have as a starter right now? Sorry, Tua.
Tua. Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, Cooper Kupp's hamstring right now is a bit of a question mark. Like when he gets Kupp back, he can obviously Michael Thomas won't start. Like Kupp will be back and be a star, which is big on the outlook for the team.
Yeah, this is a pretty good team now that I'm looking at this bench even more so. We'll see what Aaron Rodgers is playing like this year, if they're just going to let him air it out or if they're going to, be a little bit more conservative. So that's going to be big going towards the outlook of this team. Probably the best team in their division, though. You're right about that.
Yeah. I mean, CD, Devontae, and Kupp is probably the best wide receiver trio in the league, I would say. I think we forgot to mention him at first because it was only showing the starters. But, yeah, no, he definitely deserves to be up there. Let's move on here to the Bed Bath & Bijan, which – personally, I thought Waddle You Doing Stepbrother should have stayed.
I think so, too.
If Owen's going to change his name. I mean, I think the Blue Tigers is a classic. But let's talk about this team. Bijan, Nick Chubb is an elite RB duo, especially with Kareem Hunt gone. Nick Chubb could lead the league in carries this year. But, I'm not loving Deshaun Watson at quarterback. Nothing like I don't care about his morals. I mean, my team is literally living in hell right now. Like, he's just not – he just wasn't that guy last year.
Yeah, here's a guy that won the Clancy Bowl and then just made all the wrong decisions in life. Really, I decided that the Bureau would have no further part of him, and it seems like that's been a wise decision so far. Can't really see why Owen would pick this guy up, especially playing for a poverty franchise like Cleveland. But, I guess we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. Decided to switch us up on the video here, just get some new angles. All right, yeah. So no, I think this team is overall pretty good. I think Jalen Waddle is a good wide receiver one, but it's also it's always risky to have a team's second option be your first option. is the best way to put it. Tyreek is their guy. No shit. Deebo Samuel is another guy I'm not incredibly high on, just because when McCaffrey came to San Francisco, Samuel stopped running the ball as much as he had been. So I'm a little bit cautious about that. David Njoku's solid. Deontay Johnson's okay. This team I think is all right, but I don't see it A, beating Chris, and B, beating like one of the NFC East team out for the wild card.
No, this is a team that's probably going to miss the playoffs, miss the division title by 2-3 games at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's probably maybe a 500 team. I think we play 14 weeks now, so maybe like a little 6-8 type team. But let's move on to a team that could potentially, as someone who is very familiar with Ridley Bowls, of course, as you can see, 4-time Ridley Bowl champ here and counting. Justin Snyder has the worst team in the league, without a doubt. I mean, when you look at a team and you have to wonder which player was the first round pick, you're not in a good spot.
No, not at all. Listen, everybody wrote Geno Smith off. Apparently, he ain't right back, but still not the guy that you want leading your squad out onto the field on Thursdays, Sundays, and Mondays here. Najee Harris, disappointing year last year. Jesus Christ, this team is just bad. Tell you what, Roquan Smith is definitely the only saving grace here. Not good when that's your IDP. The only way to go at kicker, you're not going to win any brownie points there.
Yeah, and I like Amon-Ra. I think he's a good receiver. I think he's a fine wide receiver one. But if him and Garrett Wilson, who I think is one of the most overrated players, I don't know why he's been getting the love. I know Rodgers is there, but I mean, in my opinion, taking him at 13 is insane. Like, he took him over A.J. Brown and Devontae Adams. I think is nuts. Blame your brain deficiency if you want. I mean, you were, how many concussions deep? I don't know. I don't really care. But that's an awful start to the draft. I mean, he drafted 3 IDPs. Like, I know it was an accident, but if you forget that you have a draft pick, you deserve what you get. And Najee Harris might not even be the starter by the end of the year. Javonte Williams is coming off a torn ACL. Like, I think this team is very likely to end up back in the Ridley and challenge me. Hopefully, I'm not there, but
don't sell yourself short, Commish.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, not a huge fan of this team. I mean, the bench, Breece Hall will come back healthy maybe at some point. Terry McLaurin, I don't know. I don't see star power here. I think he has to just hope teams don't score 150 every week.
Yeah, I'm with you there. He has to hope the teams don't score 130 every week. Let's be real. But
yeah. All right. Well, that wraps up the football conference. I mean, like I said, I think that it's very likely that the football conference championship game is Chris versus one of you guys, and we'll see how it goes.
That's right.
Let's move on here too. We got a quick comment here. Thank you, Drew, for encouraging me. Listen, I have 5 fingers, right? So I need 5 Ridley Bowl rings. I think it was 14, 15, 19. I think 14, 15, 19 in last year. I believe. Thank you, buddy. All right, let's move on here to the Kosher Kush Conference. We'll start off with the defending conference champion, the Zoidberg Zoo. The only team in the division that did not change their team name is Carter Krause and the boys. Let's give this a little breakdown here. He's got a good quarterback. Justin Herbert will probably end up somewhere around the 5th, top 5, top 7 quarterbacks in fantasy. Jamar Chase, great wide receiver 1. I mean, he has an elite quarterback thrown to him. He gets targeted all the time. Great pick there. I will say I'm a little bit more down on DK Metcalf than some other people are. I think that Jesus. Yeah, I could do that. Hey, listen, it's 2023. Let's be honest here.
I don't know if they make rings that small.
No, they do. Trust me. I mean, I'm getting a nice little national championship one right here in a couple weeks. So
there you go, man.
We'll get something there.
I gotta be honest. I like this team. Good quarterback. I'm pretty high on ETN this year. I wanted them myself, but just didn't really shake out that way. Good bench with Ayuk. He's always a good option to have with you. I'm still pretty high on DK Metcalf. Even Geno Smith can get the ball to that guy. So
Yeah, I think for me it's more they just added Jackson Smith and Jigba, so now you have 3 receivers with Lockett that are good, and they're a team that loves to run the ball. Like they drafted Zach Charbonnet in I think the 2nd round, so it's like I don't know. There's also a very real chance Geno just comes crashing back down to earth, which I'm not rooting for, but it's still a possibility. I think this team's good. I think
right back.
I talked to Carter about this team before. Damian Pierce and ETN. I mean, I wouldn't call it among the upper. It's probably a lower tier running back core, but Jamar Chase and Metcalf and Mike Williams as well is a good combo. I think this is going to be a team that is win or lose or make the playoffs or not make the playoffs. They'll be in it right at the end.
Agreed.
That's the way I put it. All right, we got a new franchise here, relocation, the Columbus Copperheads, named after the snakes that hang out in the woods in Columbus, Mississippi, according to Hellman. You want to talk about this team here?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, a lot of purple on this team, just looking through it right now. Madison, J.K. Dobby is a free running back, and Madison, I don't know what his first name is, but 3 purple guys on this team. This is a really good team, it looks like, so far. Jalen Hurts, I think, is going to have another stellar year. He's my pick for MVP. Madison, I'm liking him up in Minnesota. They do the same shit every single year because they have the same, pedestrian game manager quarterback every single year. So he's going to get used pretty heavily, I'm thinking. And J.K. Dobbins, that's always dangerous having a Baltimore running back, especially because Lamar runs it so much. But, they just signed him to that new contract. They might not be using Lamar in the running game as much anymore. This bench, though, there are definitely some problems. This is thin as can be.
You know what the issue is? He drafted 3 wide receivers. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
So he picked up Mingo. But, this team is, in my opinion, a little just doomed from the start because look at Travis Kelce. He just hurt his knee in practice. Might not be able to play on Thursday night against the Lions. With that being said, he also has Jonathan Taylor, who is missing the first 4 games. Not only is he missing the first 4 games for the Copperheads, they are playing myself and the Zoo in those first 4 games. So you're missing half your divisional slate right there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's just not ideal.
No.
Pretty solid team, but very thin.
I'm going to say this team is on the outside looking in, but I don't think it's like a 2-12 train wreck. Like I would say it's around maybe like around Owens tier, maybe a little lower.
I could see that. See that.
All right, my time to shine here. So I'll start off giving my thoughts on the team here, and I think I'm a lot higher on this team than the consensus, like the ESPN, Fantasy Pros, whatever. And I think that if I'm basically banking on the Jaguars offense, so I'll give you a quick read through. It's Trevor Lawrence, Saquon Barkley, Raheem Mostert, Devontae Adams, Calvin Ridley, Cole Kmet, James Cook, and Jalen Petrie and Jason Myers. Now, the wide receiver position is interesting for me because Saquon Barkley is elite. He's a top 5 running back if he stays healthy. You could say that about anybody with injuries, but he's a true 3-down bell cow. He catches passes. I trust him. My wide receiver, if any of Raheem Mostert, James Cook, and Khalil Herbert are legit RB2, I'm going to be in a good spot. And James Cook is taking over in Buffalo, Khalil Herbert in Chicago. So I think guys will get a lot of opportunities. But I couldn't be happier with my draft starting with Saquon Barkley and Devontae Adams.
Yeah, you definitely had a really good start to your draft there. I'm pretty high on Trevor Lawrence as well. This is a good team, Commish. Let's check out the bench. Let's see what's underneath the skirt. Okay.
And Jerry Jeudy was my flex, and he's hurt. So I think this bench has a lot of talent too.
Yeah, and also Kareem Hunt. If he finds a team, he'll probably be used and used well. So
we have big enough benches. We have big enough benches that if at any point in the year, I don't know, say like Saquon Barkley gets hurt, Kareem Hunt could sign with the Giants, right? If Jonathan Taylor never comes back, he could sign with the Colts. He's a guy that's talented enough that he's worth a roster spot if he becomes like an RB1. But I think,
he will play wherever he goes.
Yeah, for sure. I like this team a lot. I do. I think that Trevor Lawrence, I think him and Ridley both being on my team, is kind of, it's like a microcosm for what the Jaguars could be. Like if Lawrence takes that like step into like a top 5 NFL quarterback, which he can do, Calvin Ridley's probably going to be a big reason why. So having them both together will be big. I mean, most likely once Jeff Wilson comes back, who I also have, it'll be James Cook or Herbert and then the Jared Jeudy in there. But I mean, I think that I will make the playoffs. I'm not like guaranteeing anything. I just think looking around, I think I might have the best roster in the division. And at this point, like my focus is just to win my second big ACC. We've just like some other divisions, we've split our first 3 years. It was myself, it was Hellman, then last year was Carter. So I think that I want to try and bring that back to Delco, bring it to hell.
Bring it to hell, man.
Yeah,
I believe in you.
All right, let's get to our last division here. We got the BBW, Beer, Bud, and Wine. Let's talk about the defending divisional champion, Bison City Lake Effect. I think this team is exceptional in every position but RB2, which you can overcome.
Absolutely. And Samaj P. Ryan's not a bad back either. Just tough playing behind Javonte Williams this year. They're definitely going to want to feature him coming off of that injury. Again, very good team. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. Who the hell let him pick up all these Bills players again?
Ari did.
Somehow we always do that. But, this is a very good team. And I think that we have a very good chance of seeing him, Jacob, that is, be one of the best teams in the league, especially in the regular season here.
Yeah, and it was a trade. I guess we kind of glossed over that because we didn't talk about his team or Ari's team. But Josh Allen was traded from Collegeville to Bison City in exchange for Joe Burrow and Tyler Lockett. Truthfully, in my opinion, it's a win-win trade if Lockett's his usual self, because Ari gets more of a wide receiver too, but like a good starting player. And the drop off from Allen to Burrow isn't like absurd. Like it's a drop off, but it's a Tyler Lockett size drop off. But Jacob just had a hell of a draft where he was able to get Diggs, Allen, and then Christian Kirk. And going back to my team with that, like we'll see what the wide receiver spread is, because Christian Kirk was the guy last year, but they got Ridley now. But I don't know. I mean, I think that this team will make the playoffs. I think that RB2 is going to be an issue for him. That let's pull up his bench here. He might potentially be able to make a move to get one. I don't know if you can trust a chain, how the fuck you say it, to step into that RB2 or Sean Tucker. But I don't know if Pirine can earn like half the carries in Denver. Like if he's not a backup, then this team is going to be tough to beat, because Tony Pollard, I think, will be an elite running back.
I agree with you. The Dallas line is still pretty good. So
yeah. I mean, I think this team will win the division. I think if not, I think they're a playoff team. Another good year from Jacob coming. Let's move on to the runner-up in 20 and 21, the Schenectady Shekels. This team is very top-heavy, in my opinion. I think Mahomes can be the quarterback one. I think McCaffrey can be the running back one. Kittle can be a tight end up there. But, man, none of his receivers really impressed me.
No, not at all. I feel like we're always talking about Jason. That is, we're always talking about Jason being pretty top-heavy. So this is not really a surprise to me. Yeah, I don't love this team. This is a far cry from the number one ranked team coming out of the draft a few years ago. I can't see him making it back to the playoffs or even, let alone the Clancy Bowl final this year. This is a big L for me.
Yeah, I think this team will be similar to Carter, just maybe like a right outside looking in. I do think that if Alvin Kamara is able to be a good flex, and this team is talented, because like McCaffrey and Mixon is a pretty good one too. Like getting Mixon that late, whenever, because like I think you got him like 26 or 27, was definitely a good pull for him for sure. But I don't know, man. Like Hollywood has no quarterback. DeAndre Hopkins is getting old. Cortland Sutton, I mean, I had him last year. He's okay. Like Jerry Jeudy's obviously the top guy there. I don't know. I just don't see this being a championship team. But with that being said, Jason always likes to make moves. We'll see. I don't think it's a Ridley Bowl team. I think it's just like a middle of the pack. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. You're right. He likes to make moves. He's an extreme tinkerer, and sometimes it ends up biting him in the ass. So
Yeah.
I don't know if any amount of tinkering is going to save him this year, especially from that wide receiver core. Um, Pretty non-noteworthy team, if
Yeah.
you ask me.
All right. Last team we have here is the Collegeville Cash Flow Kings. Tell me about this team, Cuz.
All right, Joe Burrow, your starting quarterback, always good. Aaron Jones looking to have another stellar fantasy year. Is that Kevin Walker the third?
Kenneth.
Kenneth Walker the third. Don't know much about him. They just drafted him, right?
He was there last year. So I actually had Jones and Kenneth Walker last year. He's weird. He's like very inefficient, but then he'll just break like a 70-yard touchdown run to save his day.
Interesting.
He'll have like 6 carries for 7 yards and just go to the house.
Obviously, Justin Jefferson and Amari Cooper. That's a pretty damn good wide receiver core right there. Moving on down to the tight end Tyler Higbee. Had him a couple times. He's your pretty standard, decent fantasy tight end. Bobby Wagner, great defensive player. And taking a look at the bench, AJ Dillon. Always love him. Very good friend of the franchise. That is. Otherwise, this is a pretty light bench. Definitely some concern there, but pretty good team all around. Could definitely, put up a fight for the wild card in the Coast to Coast Conference or maybe the division. But pretty good team. Light on the bench is what I'm seeing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that obviously don't take, anybody listening doesn't have to listen to my analysis because I always suck. But from a purely unbiased standpoint, I think the tiers in this division or this conference are, I think that Jason, Hellman are bottom tier, then it's Carter and Ari, then myself and Jacob. But I don't think it's that, far off. And that's just all potential at this point. We got
right, and it's never cut and dry.
Yeah. So. No, I mean, this is just like, I don't know, we've been doing it for years. Like, it's not bulletin board material. It's just what we think.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm honest about myself from teams when I think years when I think my teams are bad. But all right, let's move into some week 1 matchups, shall we?
Absolutely.
All right, let's start off here. In my opinion, the game of the week, we get right out of the gate with a rematch of the football conference championship game. It's the Elias Sports Bureau taking on the State Penn Jailbirds, and as we do, I think we go through and talk about who we're liking on each of the squads here, like who you're worried about. So tell me about your team. Who are you expecting a good game from?
I'm really looking at this Jackson Andrews combo here. I think and as I said earlier, that's key to a lot of what we're trying to establish and accomplish this year in the Bureau. Yeah, honestly, that's what I'm looking at right now, Commish. Definitely keeping my eye on everybody else on my team.
Yeah, look who's made an appearance. It's Justin Snyder. Snyder, you shouldn't be looking at screens. You know that. I hope you're doing well, buddy. I missed you at the draft, but we got a good season coming here. All right, let's talk about this game here. So I'm sorry, what were you just saying?
Yeah, I'm more looking at that Jackson Andrews combo more than anything. Yeah. I do think that I'm projected the most points in the league for this week, which is interesting. I could be off on that.
But, I think you're right. I'm not positive. I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, obviously Lamar and Andrews is the best option. What I am interested to see here is Rachaad White, because I think we could find out very early, like, is he a legit RB2? Because I remember since we had back-to-back picks, I took it down to the wire trying to decide between James Cook and Rachaad White because I knew they're both going to be solid. I just went with Cook because I knew the Bills' offense was going to be good. I don't know if the Bucs' offense will be good. So that's pretty much what did it for me. But, I mean, he was good when he filled in for Fournette last year. Like, you can attest to that. You had Fournette, right?
Absolutely. He was stealing some carries from Lenny and definitely hurt me a little bit, especially in the back end of the season.
But if he shows that he can catch passes, he could be a legit 3-down guy and a late-round steal. All right, let's talk about the Jailbirds here. Who are you kind of worried about on his team?
Well, definitely Kyle Pitts coming off of a really disappointing year. I'm interested to see what happens with him. But, as you said about D-Hop, he's got no quarterback. No, as you said about Marquise Brown, he's got no quarterback. So Not too worried about that. Justin Fields, I'm obviously pretty concerned about. He's looking to have a damn good year, so really going to look into that. But otherwise, I'm pretty confident in the squad for this week.
Yeah, I mean, I miss having Justin Fields, man. I wanted him. Holbert took him. I think he took him before I could get to him. But I mean, he was incredible on the ground last year, and if he takes that leap with his arm because of having DJ Moore there, and I think that's a very realistic possibility. But I think let's see. I'm interested to see DeAndre Swift. I'm going to say DeAndre Swift here just because from both an Eagles standpoint and from a fantasy standpoint, I don't think anyone outside of the NovaCare Center has any idea what the Eagles running back rotation will look like.
I think you're right about that. They listed Kenny G as the starter, I believe, but we know it's going to be by committee. I think that they're just most trusting in Kenny G right now because he's been in that offense the longest, him and Boston Scott. But Boston Scott's not a 3-down guy. So,
yeah. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's – oh, man, the spread's pretty close. It's looking like about 4 or 5 right now. A lot of the times a champion has to go hang the banner against a heated rival. That rival comes in and gets the revenge. So I'll take the Bureau on this one.
All right. I'm also taking myself. So.
All right. I guess we'll move on to my game. Oh, we got another comment. Justin Snyder says the Devils are stacked. Snyder, thank you for your kind words here. He also said that Bison City and Columbus are getting relegated. I guess we have differing opinions. I think Bison City's got a decent shot here, but we'll talk about my matchup here. I'm going to flip myself over so I'm on my team side. There we go. I am very interested to see Raheem Mostert because Jeff Wilson is out for 4 games, and if he can, be a legit running back, like that's, 4 games is a good chunk of the season to have an extra running back. But really, for me, I mean, I need to see Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley. Like they're going to be the heartbeat of the team because when they go, then my team will go. And I think the Jags offense is going to do me well. But, man, I'm excited about the year. I think I have depth, which I haven't had in years past. I mean, Khalil Herbert is going to be the RB1 for the Bears, and he's my 4th guy. Losing my flex before the season even started was tough. But, yeah, I'm going to say that I'm looking for a good game from Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, Commish, I'm liking you in this one. Slight upset, it looks like, but I'm really pretty confident in the Jags, especially going against a Colts team that we know is just going to be not going to be looking great right now with a new coach coming in and rookie quarterback. So I'm liking the Commish here. I actually like you to win by a pretty decent amount in this game. Players to watch for, I think Devontae is going to have a pretty damn good game. Jimmy G, I think, is going to be looking to throw to him early and often this year. So that'll be my player to watch for. I got the commission this one.
All right, I'll talk a little bit about Carter's team. Just as I have the Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley stack, he's got the Justin Herbert and Mike Williams stack. And I remember he had Mike Williams, and he was like, it's like every time Carter would sit Mike Williams, he would, have like 30 points. When he started, he'd have like 3. So he's given him the ceremonial flex start. We'll see how that goes. And if Herbert has a big day, I just hope it's to Keenan Allen. That's all.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll move back to the football conference here. We have the Bed Bath and Bijan's taking on the IRS. Cuz, what do you got for this game?
Right, so here I like the IRS again, not purely, but mostly because of the NFC eats love right now. I don't see a lot with this Bed Bath and Bijan team, honestly. I think it's because of the name change. I would have liked Waddle You're Doing Stepbrother more in this matchup, but I think that the IRS is going to close this one out. I like Kirk Cousins to have a pretty, pedestrian plus game down in Tampa. Pretty confident in that, as well as the wide receiver core to really lead him in this one. I got the IRS in a close matchup.
I'll take the IRS as well. I'm looking at – I want to see Jahmyr Gibbs because he's getting the shot, prime time Thursday night in Kansas City. I might add a little sidebar here. I don't know why the hell they picked the Lions for this game. Kind of weird to me that on the banner raising ceremony for the Chiefs opening night, they picked the Lions. not really. I don't really get it. I feel like I'd give him, if it's not the Birds, which they should have done, Bengals or Bills or something. But either way, Jahmyr Gibbs, maybe show up on a big stage for his first game. But I'm calling a Tyreek Hill. I'm calling a Tyreek Hill 40 burger against the Chargers.
40 burger.
40 burger. Opening day 200-yard game. See it.
I like that. I like that.
As for Owen, honestly, we didn't really talk about this when we were doing the original thing, but he's got 3 Cleveland Browns on his team: Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb, and David Njoku. As a Steelers fan,
that's a problem already.
He does have Foyesade Olokun, though. Fair. IDPs win championships. That's a fact. I got the IRS here. I think Drew comes off to a good start here. Very curious what Cam Akers does, because if Drew doesn't have Cam Akers as his RB2, if he's not a good RB2, it might be an issue. But all right, let's move on here. We got the Battle of College Ave between the Schenectady Shekels and the debut of the Columbus Copperheads, who still have the Pittsburgh Steel Eagles logo, which was 2 teams ago, mind you. But let's talk about this one here. He's got a great quarterback matchup. It's a Super Bowl matchup. It's Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes for this game. Jalen Hurts has a tough matchup playing against the Patriots. I wonder how Bill Belichick is going to go against defending Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I think that he's not going to do well at it. I'll tell you what, Commish. I think that Jalen picks apart this poverty Patriots team, and really we just lay a fucking beatdown on him. And that's part of the reason why I have the Copperheads winning big in this game. I have no confidence at all in the Shekels. I don't think that they're going to have a very good year at all. We already talked about that. I like Jalen Hurts and – pardon me, I just had it. I like Jalen Hurts and J.K. Dobbins to lead the Copperheads to a big Week 1 victory over the Shekels.
All right, let's look at this game here. See, an issue on what you just dropped. An issue here is going to be Travis Kelce coming off a knee injury in practice that they still haven't said if he's going to play or not. Could be a game time decision. I mean, if Hellman loses his RB1 and tight end 1, his first and second round picks, it's hard to pick him in this game. And I like the Shekels to win this game here, but he's going to hopefully, for his sake, get a lot of points from Cortland Sutton, as Jerry Jeudy's probably going to be out against a bad defense. So I lean Shekels. If Travis Kelce plays, I think it'll be closer. But, yeah, I'll go Shekels. All right, let's move on here. Snyder has a comment here. Wilson overrated. Oh, he's making fun of me for calling Wilson overrated. I mean, I don't think he's bad. I mean, it was more about when you took him. I thought they were – you could have drafted Pollard, you could have drafted Devontae, you could have drafted A.J. Brown. I don't know. I don't think you could just assume that connection's going to work and he's just going to be, I don't know, a top echelon guy. But, I mean, if we know anything about Snyder is that he does try to go after upside, like when he traded Jamar for Breece Hall. So, I don't know. It's high risk, high reward. Last year, it was boom or bust, and it busted.
All right, moving on to our next matchup here. We got the Neanderthals taking on the Rocks. We already had some commentary from the Rocks owner. I like the Neanderthals, and I actually like them pretty big in this game, Commish. I think Tua has a pretty good game out in L.A. to start. Hopefully he's recovered from his concussions, from last year. But I think he has a pretty good game to start out there in L.A. I already said that I really like Miles Sanders this year in Carolina. Look for him to be getting quite a bit of the carries down there this year. That's not a very good team.
Yeah.
Devontae Smith and CeeDee Lamb, I think it's just a really good receiving core. I could see that going off for a lot of points this week.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I think – and Snyder doesn't have incredible matchups. Like Najee Harris playing the Niners is a tough start to the year. Some of them are all right, though. Amon-Ra and the Chiefs, I mean, that'll probably be a high-scoring game just because it's the Chiefs and every game is high-scoring. I'm curious about the Jets. I'm not a Garrett Wilson hater. I just don't think that it was the best pick, based on who else was available. But I mean, he's got a chance with the Bills to be in a high-scoring game. So I mean, I think the Rocks could have a decent showing, but I still think the Neanderthals might be the best team in that conference. So once they get cut back, at least. Good comment from Jacob here. Najee Harris got feet made of vision like a Great person, though. Great person.
Great person.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We got one matchup left here. It is Jacob himself, the Lake Effect, take on Collegeville for the a matchup of the BBW division. Josh Allen, I don't know. It's going to be it's one of those, like, how does he keep getting away with this? But what are you thinking here?
I like. Oh man, this is actually a pretty good matchup here. I like the Lake Effect here. I think it's going to be a pretty close matchup. I just really like that Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs combination. Who doesn't? So
Yeah,
give me the Lake Effect in a close matchup. I think this is going to end up being our game of the week.
Presented by
at least our best game.
Delco.
At least our best game.
Yeah.
This week.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have both of these teams as fringe playoff teams. Let's see, do we have anybody Thursday night playing this game? Well, Diggs and Allen will be Monday night, Waller Sunday night. Yeah, no, I feel like this could be a matchup where, like, Ari gets up big and Jacob, because he has good player. He has Allen, Tony Pollard, Darren Waller, and Diggs playing in the night game, as well as his IDP and his kicker. He's got 6 primetime players. Jacob, we're going to see early.
It's a primetime team.
Yeah, we're going to see early if you're ready.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm just so excited for the season to be back. Like, we've been waiting for football for a long time. I mean, I haven't made the playoffs since 2020. So just for the opportunity to compete for the Clancy Bowl, I got to interview him. Well, not this most recent Friday, but the one before that. And I went up to talk to him, and he said, "Nice to meet you." And I was like, "Nice to meet you too, Coach."
Coach Clancy, how about that?
Yeah. I probably
remember you from gym class.
Not like 10 years ago. Great interview, though. Great interview. I've heard rumors that this is his last season.
Well, I feel like we hear rumors about that every year.
Yeah, that's also very fair.
You know,
Any last thoughts on just this upcoming season? How about you give me a Clancy Bowl championship prediction right now?
I think it's going to be the Bureau versus the Lake Effect. Clancy Bowl.
I'm going with Devils Bureau. We need the battle of the show. The ratings would be. I'm going to go solely for ratings. No, I mean, I think I'm gonna say the NFC East takes a year off. I'll take down Chris in the finals.
Yeah, the NFC East takes no years off.
Hey, everybody's. I don't know. Maybe you guys got the meat sweats for a year.
Oh man, good show, man.
Yeah, no, it's good to be back on. I think that we'll probably be doing this more often on Wednesdays, just based on the rugby schedule for Elias. But that's it's a fluid situation. Also, depending on when our guests are available.
Agreed. All right, well, I think that's all the time that we have for this week. For myself, Ryan, Cuzzo, Elias, for Brendan, the Commish, Ricciardi. This is the first episode of the 4th year. Cuzzo and The Commish. We'll see you next week, everybody.